Joburg Crisis Alliance is worried about the recent water outages in the city over the last 48 hours. Despite reassurances that the water supply and maintenance are being managed, the situation led to the Johannesburg High Court temporarily closing on Thursday. Now let's hear from Yunus Chamda, a member of the Alliance's committee's steering committee. Now, Yunus, good to speak to you. How severe is the current water crisis and which areas are most affected?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all the viewers. Yes, there's widespread areas across the city that are experiencing supply problems, and it's difficult to track exactly which areas are affected and which are returning to some sort of normality. But I can tell you that just a couple of hours ago, I was out in Kensington with residents from that area, including a significant number from Surodin, and many of them were relating that they do not have any water as yet, and some of them have been without water for over 14 days, and 2 weeks, that's 2 weeks. So despite the fact that the city claims that things are returning to normal, there are still areas that do not have any water on the taps.
So in your opinion, the city's response has not been sufficient?
I think it has not been sufficiently detailed. I also think that it's deficient in many other ways. For example, if you look at the city's notice boards on the Facebook page as an example, they continue to state in every single notice that they issue that there will be alternative supply in areas that do not have water. That's actually not true. In the last couple of days, civil society and business has had to step in to actually bring in water to areas that have been without water for several days.
Now, you've argued that this constitutes a human rights violation.
Yes, it certainly does. If you consider the impact of not having access to water and all the negative issues that emerge out of that, we certainly think that that is a gross human rights violation. I mean, you just have to think about the impacts on health and daily life and the inconveniences that it brings about in terms of just functioning. We certainly think that it is at that level.
Now, just how much of an inconvenience is it causing? You've obviously detailed that you were in Kensington, I think you mentioned, and other areas where you've had to interface with residents. Just walk us through the impact of the absence of water, particularly to the elderly and maybe those individuals that living with disability.
Well, those are the most vulnerable people, and once you do not have water, all the essential functioning of daily life actually either slows down or comes to an end. I mean, just the ability to drink safe water. I mean, water for drinking, safe water for drinking is so high up on the hierarchy of needs of human beings that, you can't go without it for a couple of days. And if you don't have safe drinking water, you have to now look to alternative ways of getting safe drinking water. That in itself is a huge problem. Easy for some, but I guess for people, particularly the poor, that constitutes a huge problem if you have to now start buying water for safe drinking water. And then there's the issue of sanitation. I mean, if you can't, flush your systems, there's a health problem that begins to accumulate, and it's a huge inconvenience.
I'm going to draw a parallel between the challenges that we've experienced over the last few years with electricity and the amount of attention that electricity has been given by the highest office in the land, and certainly the huge amount of progress that's been made. 10 months without load shedding has been a huge milestone, a huge feather in the cap of the electricity department. Do you think that more attention needs to be put on dealing with the water challenges, because they're national? We're having conversations every single day about the water challenges that many consumers, many citizens across the country are having. But it would seem that not sufficient attention is being put to dealing with this problem. Are you of the same opinion?
I share that opinion. I mean, I'm glad you've raised the issue of electricity. If you go back just over a year ago, South Africa didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. We thought that we were going to have to live with load shedding for many, many years to come. And even the experts at that point in time sketched a scenario where it would take decades to recover. And yet here we are, just over 12 months later, having gone through this period without any load shedding. And so something has happened that has brought about a solution that we did not even conceive would be possible a year ago. Now, if we can do that with electricity, and electricity is also complex, although I must say water is quite different. It has got different characteristics to electricity. But if you consider what a major challenge we saw electricity as a little while ago, and yet here we are having overcome that to a large degree, then I share your view that if the same attention is given to the crisis of water that we currently face, we think that we can certainly make inroads. But it would need a concerted effort from all three levels of government. And we would have to elevate this matter to the kind of urgency that we gave to the problems of electricity. And I think if we do that, we certainly can start making inroads into this problem. It is for that reason that we're actually calling to the president to intervene.
Yunus Chamda, Joburg Crisis Alliance, thanks for your time this afternoon as we unpack some of the issues around water supply or lack thereof in Johannesburg.